In ancient China, there was once a man named Lao Tzu who wrote about the Tao. This concept has no physical explanation, however he described it as something undifferentiated and yet complete, which existed before heaven and earth. Soundless and formless, it depends on nothing and does not change. It operates everywhere and is free from danger. It may be considered the mother of the universe. I do not know its name, I call it Tao. This belief encourages doing what is natural and in accordance with Tao, or a universal force which flows through all things. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Taoism was said to be spread throughout all of China, eventually being declared to be the official religion of the Tang dynasty. While we do not know who Lao Tzu was exactly or if he even existed, we know that someone wrote Tao Te Ching, a compilation of Taoist principles. In these texts are a seemingly endless amount of applicable quotes that persist in value even to the modern day. Many Taoist principles revolve around the concept of flow. In a very similar way that Stoics view nature, Taoists strive to live in agreements with the way. In modern times, we call this agreement a flow state. While Taoists inherently believe in going with the flow, in life we will have certain circumstances where it would be beneficial to be able to concentrate our energy into one place using a flow state. A state of effortless action known as Wu Wei. People like athletes, artists, and musicians all thoroughly understand what it feels like to be in this state, because once you leave it, it almost feels like you've been woken up from a dream. During a flow state, you are no longer limited by thoughts about the past or the future. Rather, you are completely absorbed by the natural forces of whatever you're doing. A basketball player can see where the next shot will be taken. An artist can put the pen to paper without thinking about disturbing the piece. A musician knows exactly what notes to play without looking at the staff. While some may confuse flow for a state of complete focus, it is actually a little bit different. Concentration is a very conscious thing to have. Flow is more of an unconscious state of perfection. You are not intentionally trying to complete your objective, you just are. Of course, this begs the question, if flow is unintentional, how can we increase our odds of achieving it? This ultimately depends on the task you are trying to complete. When faced with challenges in a field of your choice, do you run towards it? Or do you run away? How capable are you to deal with such challenges? A flow state is achieved when the challenge of your endeavors is significant enough combined with you having the fortitude to handle them. Based on my own observations, the most important factor to achieving flow is actually your own abilities. If the challenge is not significant, if you're skilled enough, it will seem very relaxing to you. If the difficulty increases, you will keep control of the situation. Finally, if the challenge requires you to use all of your abilities, you very well may unlock a flow state. This is why the highest level of athletes or fighters speak about flow so much. They are the best competing against the best. In Dragon Ball Super, we see a fantastic example of this. In the final arc of the show, the protagonist Goku masters the form of Ultra Instinct, a form which allows him to respond to all attacks without thinking, in an instant. Facing an attack that had the potential to take his life, he was strong enough to overcome this and survive. As he stood back up, he had activated Ultra Instinct, not only because of his strength, but also because of the immense challenge that was just before him. Interestingly enough, this form acts as a perfect metaphor for flow, since at first he is not able to control when he activates it. However, as he begins to understand and improve within this state, he starts to be able to use it more frequently. In your life, you will start to have the same experience with your own flow states. Of course, it won't take life-threatening situations for you to increase your flow. Rather, you should consider what you already have experienced flow in. For example, one of the most common flow states is completing your homework right before the deadline. The amount of work is often immense, however, you likely had the ability to complete the homework with no problem given more time. This pressure creates the ultimate scenario for a flow state. Words flow from your fingertips as you complete your work, and before you know it, you've completed the task in time. Another familiar example to some might be of martial arts. Since almost all arts derive from East Asia, they are infused with Taoist principles. The greatest swordsman of all time, Miyamoto Musashi, spoke greatly about the way in his writing. If you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. This means that once you understand the basic principles of the universe, it applies to anything in life. This is why he was able to not only be the greatest swordsman of all time, but also a renowned philosopher who we speak about to this day. With this visual, I'm sure you can imagine other tasks in your life that you would like to complete more effortlessly. Perhaps the easiest advice I could give in order to achieve a flow state is to minimize multitasking. Your energy is sacred and can bring you everything you've ever wanted. However, misplacing your energy in too many different places can prevent a state of flow. Establish a clear goal and follow on one challenging task at a time. As I was writing the script for this video, I had the clear goal of finishing it before I started my next piece of work. The challenge was established when I set a deadline for releasing this video. The combination of those two factors allowed me to complete this script with amazing pace. Ultimately, you'll need an extreme amount of mindfulness if you hope to consistently achieve flow states. You need to be able to identify when something isn't challenging to you, or if it's simply not enjoyable. After acknowledging all these feelings, you must act on them accordingly in order to make the situation favor you. The Tao is never about inaction. Laziness and neglect go against the flow of creativity and should be avoided. Many of us have an instinct in the back of our minds that tells us what to do next. While analyzing this voice can sometimes bring positive results, more often than not, it causes us to overthink and make illogical decisions. For example, have you ever had a great relationship with someone that was hindered by constant worrying and contempt? You were flowing through the river of life until one of you started to swim upstream. Perhaps someone in the relationship tried to control everything, causing friction in the flow. There are so many things in life that we do not control. Bodily functions, weather, time. So why do we try to control other people? In the river of life, there are many different currents flowing through the stream. So instead of trying to create your own, choose the one that most accurately aligns with your nature. If something in your life did not go as expected, it is okay, because that just means the universe had something different planned for you. The river always moves forward, so even if there are missteps and difficulties, progress is always made. You should emulate the water in the river. Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. The strongest people in the world are both dangerous and kind. Water allows humans to survive, however, it can also be the cause of our demise. Rain brings us water for our crops, but too much of it brings floods, destroying them. There is no yin without yang. Taoism is all about clearing out the clutter in your life and keeping what feels aligned with your nature. Do not force changes in your life if they are clearly not the path you are destined for. However, if your natural instinct is to strive for something, it is your responsibility to the universe to go for it. Do your best to cultivate flow in all things, and you will live a harmonious life. If you like this video, I greatly suggest you check out our video about Stoicism. This video is a great example of another philosophy that speaks about the importance of going with the flow. Comment down below what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching.